Remember when the first Joker movie came out in 2019? It caused controversy and fear that it might be promoting violence and it might inspire somebody who's a little too into the film, and then only to find out that it's just a movie paying homage to Martin Scorsese. It's a movie I certainly didn't hate. I could see why people thought it was a masterpiece. I could totally see why some people hated it. But in the end, I just thought it was an okay movie with a hollow script and some performances that sold it. They were at least convincing enough to make it feel like it was a good movie. Every once in a while, we'll get a movie like that. Joker is a very good example, in my opinion. And now we have a sequel where this time it is following Arthur Fleck 5 years after the events, the murders he did in the first film. He is struggling to find himself, to understand himself, until he meets Leigh, aka Harley Quinn, who is played by Lady Gaga. She helps Arthur discover himself in an interesting way. So how does director Todd Phillips this time find another way to develop a story about a misunderstood man? Well, this time it's a musical and a courtroom drama, but more so a musical. That's what the movie's been marketing it towards. When you think of a musical, you think of energy, but this does not have that. This is a very monotonous and agonizing sequel that doesn't do anything to be entertaining. I will give it to Phillips for trying to do something a little bit different with a comic book sequel. Making it a musical is something that I would have not expected them to do, or even maybe make it a courtroom drama. That was not expected either. But oh man, when the first song happened, things felt off immediately. Just like the first film's attempt at trying to be sophisticated, Phillips is trying to do the same thing with this. However, I don't think people will feel sophisticated about watching this. I don't think people will feel excited while watching this either. Sometimes the musicals are set in Arkham Asylum. I don't think there's much going on for these particular music pieces. Sometimes they might try to do something a little bit broad with that setting at least. They'll try to do a little bit more with the lighting. They may try to move the camera just to make it feel grand, but the energy is lacking and it just doesn't mesh well with that setting at least. Phillips either feels uninterested in this aspect or he cannot shoot a musical set piece, or it could be both. Sometimes the set pieces are very creative to look at, and then there's lighting and cinematography that are great and they really help the dynamic. They make it very extreme, but I just wish the movie was doing more with it. These are moments to let Arthur fully express himself as the Joker, and that just feels wasted. Unfortunately, these musical numbers overshadow the score as well, which we don't hear a whole lot of, and I will admit it is very similar to the first one, lots of very similar motifs. I just wish we got to hear more of that. The movie does attempt to be deep with these songs and who is singing what. Arthur sings love ballads because that's what he needs, while Leigh sings about power and strength, which is an interesting way to approach these songs and characters, but they are boring to watch, and the musicals just feel pointless. The musical pieces don't work for Joaquin as well. He is just not a good singer. That is something I am not shocked about at all. But even his performance isn't that noteworthy to me. Part of it is how his character is written, because it just feels like the story is holding him back. Anytime Joaquin really gets to do a bit more with his character, it's through a musical scene, or later in the film when he gets to be a bit more involved with the Joker character. And even then, the performance choice Phoenix went for was baffling to me. Now, Phoenix is committed to this character along with Gaga, and that might be enough for some people to feel like there's something big, important happening in this movie, but even Gaga is sadly wasted in this movie too. Leigh is a character that is supposed to help Arthur figure himself out. She is an important person in his life. Arthur is finally getting that deep personal love, that personal connection that he has always wanted. Phillips Phillips doesn't really find a lot of interesting ways to show off her acting abilities. When she does sing, it's very good, very beautiful. Instead, she's pushed aside and doesn't have much to do during these trial scenes, which also don't have anything new to offer. These trial scenes, they are just retelling what happened in the first film. They don't offer much insight. Courtroom dramas are literally like mind games at times. There are twists and turns and high emotions. People are yelling and crying. There's a lot in courtroom dramas, and this doesn't have any twists or turns, and there's not many emotions either, so it's just wasted potential. In the core of this film, this movie is trying to tell a story about how Arthur needs to be himself again, which was the same message from the last film. He was just discovering himself, except this movie has even less to say. At least in the first film, it was trying to make a message about mental illness, about higher class, whereas this literally has nothing to say. Now, there are still a few things that I at least enjoyed in this movie, despite the performances. The costumes are more eccentric compared to the previous film, and as I mentioned earlier, the production is very good. I have to give it that. I just wish they did more with it to make it feel a bit more immense, and sometimes the dramatic lighting and the cinematography are really good too. There are moments where I'm like, man, that's a nice shot, but most of that stuff, you can literally just find that in the trailers. Joker Folie Deux does not do anything new or exciting. It tries to use musical fantasies to explore Arthur's expressions, but Phillips doesn't know how to make them interesting. He may think that alone is enough, but it's not. It's dull with scenes that just remind us of what happened previously, with little to no development of its characters. It's tied with uninspiring music pieces. Just like the first movie, the sequel thinks it's clever, trying to express what Arthur wants, but it's not. It is hollow, just like the first one, except it's more frustrating in this because there's nothing happening in this film. Phoenix is being held back for the most part, and then when he actually gets to be the Joker, I thought the performance was an interesting direction to go in. I thought it was questionable at times. Gaga isn't given much to do. However, when they're on the screen together, they have some form of chemistry that might help the movie feel engaging, but the story is not engaging enough. It feels like a movie that has nothing to say because there was nothing else to be said about this character originally, and it shows. It's a pointless sequel to an already pointless movie. This was just something that Warner Brothers wanted to make because they wanted to make another $1 billion. It feels like Phillips didn't want to make this. It feels like Joaquin Phoenix didn't want to get involved with this again. Kudos to them for trying to do something kind of original for a comic book sequel, but it was just wasted potential. Production is good, lighting is good, the musical score is good, even though it's underused and overshadowed. I would not recommend this film. I am going to give Joker Folie Deux a 2 out of 5. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this. If you made it this far, are you going to watch the Joker movie? Do you plan on skipping it? Let me know. Let me know what I should review next. Please like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want. Make sure you exercise every day, drink your milk, and have a great day.